Hello, welcome back to Tech Planet. Today, we'll be exploring some of the longest prison sentences ever given. Cases where courts handed down mind-boggling numbers meant to reflect the weight of unforgivable crimes. Let's jump into these shocking stories and the legal decisions that made history. Number 1. Chamoy Thipyaso, 141,078 years, Thailand. In 1989, Chamoy Thipyaso, a Thai woman, was handed a prison sentence of 141,078 years after being convicted of running a pyramid scheme that scammed over 16,000 people that totaled millions of dollars. Despite the colossal prison sentence, the Thai law caps prison sentences to just 8 years. So, this underscores the symbolic nature of the extreme sentencing. 8 years capping, the court gave 141,078 years imprisonment. Number 2, Othman El Nawi, 42,924 years, Spain. Othman El Nawi was involved in the 2004 Madrid train bombing. It was an horrific attack that killed over 191 people and injured more than 2,000 people in Madrid, Spain in 2004. It was sentenced to an eye-watering 42,924 years. This represents each victims affected. However, due to the Spanish law, he will only serve 40 years imprisonment because the Spanish law only allows a maximum prison sentence of 40 years. That was to deter people from committing those kind of crimes, right? Number 3 is Charles Scott Robinson, 30,000 years, the United States of America. In 1994, Charles Scott Robinson was convicted of child molestation in Oklahoma. He received a sentence of 30,000 years for multiple counts of abuse. The judge ordered 5,000 years for each count, and he was to serve consecutively, making it one of the longest prison sentences ever handed down in the United States of America. This measure was to make sure that people never walk away again freely in perpetrating those kinds of crime. Darren Banalford Anderson, 11,250 years, United States of America. Initially sentenced to 2,200 years for robbery, kidnapping, and rape, Anderson appealed the case, and in his appeal, it didn't lead to leniency. Instead, the court increased its sentence to 11,250 years in prison in 1994. Sending a clear message about the seriousness of his action. Like Robinson, this sentence was symbolic, reflecting the severity of his crimes. The next is Jamal Zugom. Jamal Zugom was sentenced to 42,922 years imprisonment in the country of Spain. Jamal Zugom was involved also in the tragic 2004 Madrid train bombing that killed over 191 people. He was sentenced to 42,922 years. This also was to reflect the gravity of his crime, and because it was in Spain, despite the thousands of years handed down, Zugom's actual sentence will only be capped at 40 years. That was the maximum. That is the maximum that, I don't know if they've repealed the law, that was the maximum years of prison terms that somebody could serve as at then in 1994, but it was handed down over 42,000 years imprisonment. The next on our list is Martin Bryan, in 1,035 years imprisonment, Australia. Martin Bryan committed one of Australia's deadliest mass shooting in 1996. at Port Arthur. The Port Arthur massacre killed 35 people. He received 35 life sentences and an additional 1,035 years, ensuring he will never be eligible for parole. That means he can never be pardoned. This stands as one of the most severe sentences ever given in Australia's history. The next on our list is Terry Nichols. Terry Nichols, 161 life sentences in the United States of America. Terry Nichols involved in the 1995 Oklahoma City bombing that killed 168 people. He received 161 consecutive life sentences. Each life sentence serves as a symbol of justice for each victim that died in his acts, ensuring that Nichols will remain behind bars for the rest of his life. Prison sentences are meant to deter people from committing crimes. Okay, when people are handed down harsh prison sentences, it is meant to deter others from committing those kinds of crimes, to say no to crimes. In today's edition, we'll talk beyond just prison terms. We'll also look at institutions that the courts have also given outrageous court fines to pay. In August 2024, a court in Russia had fined Google with an amount that is far beyond the global GDP. As of today, the global GDP is at $110 trillion according to IMF. The global gross domestic products of all the countries, United States, Nigeria, all the continents put together, our global GDP is at $110 trillion according to IMF. Okay, but the court in Russia had given Google 20 decillion. I believe this is the first time some persons are hearing about this kind of figures. The penalty is around $20 decillion. A decillion is a billion, trillion, trillion. That's funny, right? A billion, trillion, trillion. A decillion in the number table, when you look at the number table, a decillion has 1 and 33 zeros. 1 and 33 zeros. So in this case, we're talking about $20 decillion. That is 20 billion, trillion, trillion. That is another way of calling it, because it is far beyond billions and trillions. So this was how insane the court acted in that case, and giving a fine that nobody on the planet could pay. And I believe even the Russian court that gave that is not believing that that kind of money will be paid. Okay, nobody has that fund, nobody has that kind of money. All the wealthiest people in the world, all the wealth of the billionaires put together and the countries put together cannot afford to pay that. What do you think about the judgment about the that was given to Google by the courts in Russia? Even in Russia, they can't even pronounce the money.
1 trillion. This money is too much for me.
The money is too big. It's more than the entire global GDP put together. What do you think? I want to get your comments on insane prison sentences or court fines that your country has gotten. Okay, I want to hear it in the comment section. Okay, thank you for joining me on this edition of Tech Planet as we dive into some of the world's longest prison sentences. These cases serve as powerful examples of justice and sometimes as cautionary tales. What do you think of these extreme sentences and fines? Please let me know in the comment section. And if you like more thought-provoking stories like this, hit the like button and subscribe to Tech Planet. Till next time, stay informed and be very cautious. Stay safe. Comment and share this video. Click the subscribe button so that you'll be notified whenever we upload a new content.